Hi, my name is Heather and welcome to my channel. On this channel we do things like home decor DIYs and furniture makeovers, so if that's something that interests you, go ahead and click the subscribe button in the corner of the screen. In today's video I'll be going over 5 dollar store DIYs, the spring edition. So we'll be having elements of jute rope and flowers, and it's so much fun. So I can't wait to show you everything. Let's go ahead and get started. Starting off this video, we're going to be making some decorative books. This was inspired from a listing on Amazon, so I wanted to recreate it dollar store version. You're going to pick out any 3 books of size that you like. So I'm starting off by gluing all the top, bottom, and middle parts together and putting them in a stack. Once they're dry, we're going to give them a paint. So I'm using some Behr chalk paint in the tin white, and I'll be giving it about 2.5, 3 coats. I ended up running out of the tin white with the first 2 coats, so I had to do my touch-ups with the French linen and Rust-Oleum. So that's why it looks a little off-white, but we got great coverage, and now we're on to our next part. I chose to go for the smaller rope. It's like a hemp rope at the dollar store, but if you want the thicker jute rope, that's fine. The reason why I went with a smaller one is because I wanted it to lay a bit more flat. So I'm just unraveling a bunch of it to give myself some room to wrap it around, but I'm going to be wrapping it towards the top. So the first one, I'm tucking it into the bottom part of the book just to give myself a nice anchor, and then I'll continue to wrap it around a few times and stop there. So once I'm at a good stopping point, then it's time to add the decorative flowers. So you can also use some eucalyptus or some of those furniture beads, whatever you want for your decor. I really like the look of these white flowers against that French linen, so that's what I'm using. Just a dab of hot glue in the center, and that'll be enough for these guys. And then I'll just take some more of that twine and wrap it around a few more times to kind of make it a completed look, and we're done. I'm using some sunflowers for this one, but again, whatever flowers that you like, go ahead and pick those out. We're going to be using ribbon, jute rope, 2 picture frames, 8x10 in size, and some glue. We're going to start off by removing the backs of the picture frames. I'm bending the little metal tabs towards the picture frame, not in towards the glass, because we don't want them to be visible, and we also need them out of the way. So we're setting aside 1 picture frame for right now, and we're just going to be working on 1 as our base for the tray. I'm starting with the flowers, so we're going to pop some flowers off. I'm going to go with all 5. On the back side of the flower, there are these plastic bits. We're going to need to chop them off because we need the flowers to lay as flat as possible. So I'm going to do that for all 5. Next comes the fun part, gluing it all down. So I'm using the Gorilla Glue here, but you can use the hot glue, that works out fine too. And I'll just do a dab of glue on the back side and then press them down on the glass. And we got to get a few leaves in there too. Got to balance it out with some greenery. I just love the contrast of that yellow and green. Here's a close-up shot of our project so far. I'm just taking my homemade Windex cleaner of rubbing alcohol and a little bit of Dawn dish soap with some water and giving it a good clean before that top is on there for good. So I'm going to start off laying the glass top on the flowers, and then I'll put the glue on the frame and bring the frame up to meet the other frame and sandwich it together. I'll put a little weight on there while it dries to make sure everything's sealed nicely. After everything's dry, it's time for our ribbon. So I'll just use the glue, go along the outer edge of the frame, and then I'm going to wrap my ribbon around the frame. Next, we'll get our nautical jute rope, and we're going to be cutting individual pieces for the frame. I'm using glue and going along the inner edges first, and then I'll lay those jute pieces alongside the inner edge of the frame. Now it's time to work on the feet. If your dollar store has those Jenga pieces, definitely grab those. If not, you can use these crafting cubes like I did. I'm just gluing them together to make a little bit of a longer piece. And after the glue has dried, I'll be staining our little leg pieces. I really like this color. I feel like it matches the sunflowers and really completes the look. Okay, finishing up here, we're going to glue our leg pieces on. So I put one of those pieces in each corner to give it really good stability. Finishing up our jute rope for this project, we're going to be making handles. Because I want them to be extra sturdy, I am using hot glue and the Gorilla Glue. Then I'll take my jute rope and make it a U shape and place it underneath the picture frame on that glue. And then we follow the glue up alongside the frame, and then we have our handles. So since I'll be making a succulent terrarium, I'll be getting earthy things from the dollar store. So I got some sand, some moss, and some stones, and of course, a pile of succulents. So I grabbed 8 punch bowls from the dollar store, and right now we're going to be working on the terrarium. So I'm just going to be taking 2 of these punch bowls and peeling that sticker off. So now it's time to play. So we're going to be creating our terrarium. I'm starting off with using sand as the base. And then I'll go in with some dried moss and black stones. So I'm just kind of arranging it in a way where I would feel would be a good base for those succulents. So right now I'm just focusing on getting all those elements in there, and then I'll move it around, to make it look pretty. So now I have our muted color palette taken care of, and it's time for me to add some greenery. So I'm adding some of the live moss, as well as brightening it up a bit with some white stones. I think this is a good base for our succulents, so now I'm going to start adding those in. Now some of those came in little pots with foam bits in there, and other ones have clips on the ends of them, but they're really easy to deconstruct and arrange. So once I got everything looking the way that I want, I'm going to go ahead and glue the bowls together. So I'm taking an empty bowl, and then I'm also placing glue around the rim, and make sure that it's clear glue and then just putting it bloop right on top. I'm reusing some punch bowls from a previous DIY, so that's why they're black, but you don't have to paint these black. So right now I'm just adding the glue on an upside down bowl so then I can put the terrarium on top. Then I'll use some of that Gorilla Glue and put it along the rim of the top of the terrarium and then flip a punch bowl over so it's facing upright and stick it on top. So we're creating kind of an hourglass figure. Next, we'll be wrapping the bottom and top of those bowls in jute rope. The thing I like about working with the Gorilla Glue here and the jute rope is that I can just lay that Gorilla Glue on first in little rows and then wrap it with the jute rope. So I will be wrapping both the top and bottom bowls in jute rope. So instead of using the pizza pan top that's pretty common amongst Dollar Tree tables, I decided to purchase some wooden rounds. These are for DIYs and crafts, so they're a bit thin, but it's still sturdy enough for a top. So now I'll just be taking my stain and giving it a few passes to richen up the tone a bit. And you guessed it, we're going to glue it on the top. We will be making a hanging wall sign using the pizza pan tray and a placemat. So you're going to want to find a placemat that has a circular design so we can cut it out to size for the pizza pan. So this part's pretty easy. All I'm doing is using the pizza pan as a reference for where I need to cut. And then what I'm going to do is just kind of cut inside of my line so it's closer to the center of the pizza pan. Next, we'll just glue the sign onto the pizza pan. So I'm going to be honest with you. I was not really thinking about this, but the dots that I created ended up drawing as dots that you could see on the placemat. So I actually had to rip it up, and then I ended up using a Mod Podge and laid that, painted that on the back side and on the tray. And it was much better after that. So I don't know what I was thinking here, but please just disregard this nonsense. So after we have glued and dried the right way, it's time to add our decorative rope. So I'm using the white cotton nautical rope, and I'll also be including some jute rope towards the end, so stick around for that. So I'm starting off on the inside of the pizza pan on that lip to cover up the seam from our placemat. And then I'm going to continue the cotton rope for a couple of rows. Starting at that top point, I'm going to add in the jute rope now. So I'm just going to match it with the last end of the cotton rope and follow it alongside the outer rim of the pizza pan. Just one completed circle of the jute rope, Then I'll use the remainder as a back hook for our hanging wall sign. I'm going to hot glue it down, so I'll put some dabs of glue where I want the rope to be, and then after that's placed down, I'm going to actually create a hot glue bracket and go across in the opposite direction to really seal it down. Next, as our final touch, I'm going to be making a little flower bow. I'll bring the flowers together at opposite end, and then I'll just put a dab of hot glue to secure it down. And using that hemp twine that we used for the book DIY, I'm going to take a little piece of that and wrap it around to tie it down and to give it a decorative finish. And there we go. That's what it should look like. So I'm going to go ahead and hot glue this to the top of our sign. And I have this little blue bow from a previous DIY that it didn't really work. So I still am left with this bow that I got at Walmart, and I thought it would look so cute on this sign. So I'm going to add that on top of the flowers to really seal the deal. For this DIY, we'll need 2 cylinder vases, some onion grass, as well as our jute rope and some white stones. Starting with our cylinder vase, I'm going to grab our jute rope, and I'm measuring roughly 2.5 inches from the bottom, just to kind of give myself an estimate on where I want to start my jute rope. I'm using hot glue for this project, but you can definitely use any of your heavy duty glue. Just make sure that it's clear. So I'm just going to be wrapping the jute rope from that starting point all the way, following it down until I hit the bottom. I ran out of the length, so I'm just matching the jute rope to the end part, kind of lining up where the threads meet each other, and then finishing off the wrap at the bottom. Once both of them are done, we're going to grab our white stones, and I'm going to distribute them evenly in each vase. Now it's time to add our onion grass. So if you don't like the look of onion grass, you can pick something else. They have a lot of different options at the dollar store. And I'm just kind of shoving them down into the stones, getting them as far down to the bottom as I can. And it's as easy as that. You'll have to let me know which one that you like the best. My toss-up is between the succulent table or the sunflower tray. I think they're both adorable, but as I'm saying this, my husband is putting up that decor sign on our front door. So, I mean, all of them. But you'll have to let me know which one that you like the best. If you haven't already, be sure to like the video and subscribe. And I will see you guys next week. Have a great day. Bye. Baby. Hi. Are you helping mommy?